grab your jersey, crank up the goal horn. Join us as we talk Blues hockey with passion, honesty, and plenty of spirited debates. Because around here, we all bleed blue. And this is the Icing the Blues podcast.
Welcome, ladies and gentlemen, to the Icing the Blues podcast with your host, Justin Scott, alongside my best buddy here, Ben. How are you doing, Ben?
Man, I am doing so good. I am so excited to talk to you today. I can't believe we have episode 3.
Yes, sir. Episode 3. We are ready to knock out some good ones. The Blues have been very quiet, Ben, so we have a different sort of episode on tap. We have a little bit of Blues news, but the Blues have not done a crazy amount of things. But I want to get into some of our journeys to becoming St. Louis Blues fans. And I think it's a great topic. I think you nailed it on the head here that we should talk about this now in the dead of the season when not much is going on for the St. Louis Blues. What are you thinking, Ben? How is this episode shaping out to be tonight?
So I'm so excited to talk about journeys, right? Because every fan has a different journey. Some people have been fans for years whenever they were little kids. Some people pick it up in the middle. Sometimes there's bandwagon fans that were like, oh, 2019, they did really good. Maybe I'll watch, right? I am a different kind of fan, right? So about a year and a half ago, I was asking my wife, I said, hey, Melanie, I said, what do you want to do? What's on your bucket list? And she said, I've always wanted to go to a National Hockey League game. And I was like, well, shoot, St. Louis is 2.5 hours away. Let's go, right? So our very first game was the Blues versus the Kraken, okay? Now, we all know Justin hates the Kraken. They're the epitome of mediocre, right?
Yep, pretty much.
Absolutely, right? So here's the thing. We were blown away. We said, if we're going to do this, we're going to sit in the lower bowl. We had seats in section 117. It's now our favorite section, okay? And if you don't know, it's right across from whenever the Blues come out on the ice. Now, the first time that I saw the intro video, the first time that I saw the Blues come out on the ice and practice, the first time that I felt that energy, I was hooked, right? I had no idea. I've been an NFL guy my whole life. If you see behind me, you got the Chiefs, you got the Blues. I've been a Chiefs fan since I was in diapers. I had red diapers, okay? But this is brand new. Blues is brand new. So we watched the game. Now you're gonna find this really funny. So this is why I always joke about overtime, because we scored and forced overtime. I thought I had enough time to go to the bathroom, because when you're watching the football, you flip a coin, you take a timeout, everyone recollects. No, nay, in the NHL. No. I went to the restroom, and when I came back, the Kraken had scored and the game was over. Now, just so we all know, that score was against Bennington. Just so you guys are aware. Anyway, but I will tell you that me and my wife had the most fun, and we met the most amazing people. And that's what made it for us. Everyone that we sat next to taught us a little something, gave us a little nuance, but we were hooked on the ice. And ever since then, we went to 5 games last season. I have purchased every streaming service known to man to make sure that I can watch all of my Blues. I have become the booster member for the local college D1 hockey team. I am just ate up, right? So with that is my journey. We have been in for a year and a half, and we are just the most passionate young fans that is just soaking up everything. So that's where we are right now. We have 5 games that we're going to this season, and we just booked Las Vegas for New Year's Eve so we can see the Blues versus the Las Vegas Knights on December 31st.
And you talk about atmosphere, and that's a good point. The Blues really bring in an atmosphere. I love the Blues fans when they're in the arena and they hear that hype introduction video, and the Blues are just the Blues fans themselves are just electric. It feels like it's definitely a high, but then it kind of comes down depending on the type of game that you get, because Blues fans can also be extremely quiet in the arena. I don't know. I don't know if you've been to enough games to where you've seen like maybe it's been a little dead sometimes. But man, oh man, playoffs. I have a few playoff games under my belt, and man, Blues fans bring it when it comes to playoffs. Most fan bases do. It's a different type of moment in the season. But you talk about atmospheres. You're going to Vegas, against Vegas, at Vegas. That atmosphere, that game, the game introduction in Vegas, that's something special. You're going to really enjoy that. I'm super happy for you that you get to experience that
The
firsthand
one
before I do.
the one barn that I want to go to, and I love the fact that I knew to say barn because 6 months ago I called it a stadium. So the only thing, the barn that I'm excited to go to when we make it there is the Canadians. When they were in the playoffs, their intro, their fans, I have been told that if I wore my blue and the red, I will be in trouble, but I will do it. But I love fans who are just ate up, right? They live, breathe, and die hockey up there, okay? So I will tell you one thing, Justin. I have a question. I love the Blues. I'm never not going to love the Blues. But what in the world is this?
Uh, I don't understand some of the stuff. Like, it kind of goes back to like the woo chants. I'll be honest, I hate the freaking woo chants, and I am a professional wrestling fan. I love professional wrestling, but what does woo have to do with the St. Louis Blues or hockey in general? Okay,
Come on,
I'm
Ric
sorry.
Flair. Come on.
I look, I get it.
Woo!
I'm not a big Ric Flair guy. I'm not, especially with the type of situation that he's found himself in outside of the wrestling space. He's not my favorite. But I don't understand the woo chants. I think they're dumb. I just they have no place in hockey for me. I understand that some people will be like, oh well, woo, it sounds like a chant, but they're not doing it as a chant. They're just doing it just to do it, and I don't understand it. Um, but for me, yeah, this, it's just kind of like the PowerPoint is. I don't really understand the lore behind it. Maybe one of the fans can comment on the lore of why the fans do that. I still do it. It's kind of catchy. But I always mimic Tom Calhoun when he does it. It's time for an Edmond, Missouri Blues power play. I always mimic it because I love his voice. I think he's one of the best voices, in the blues space. But I think that that's a great story, Ben. I think that you're going to really enjoy the fandom of the St. Louis Blues, and I think you're really going to love what this franchise means to you, especially in the next couple of years when you really get some experience under your belt.
Absolutely.
Just,
Absolutely. I,
just a thumbs up, just like oh,
yeah,
I got nothing to say.
yeah, I got nothing because I'm here for it, right? I'm just super excited that I grabbed onto something. I am super excited that I've met the people that I've met. I'm super excited to see where it takes us. I will tell you, the first time I saw a massive hit on the ice, I really thought football players were the badasses. No, no. I have seen hockey players take the biggest hits, knock teeth out, be back on the ice in 5 minutes, split a lip. I mean, look at the Olympics. I mean, look at Hughes, right? So I just love it. I love everything about it, and I'm excited to hear your story.
Well, and it's actually funny that you mentioned physicality because as a young boy, you know, growing up, I've always wanted to be a hockey player. That was always my dream. It was a hockey player or a professional wrestler. Now, there's a reason I couldn't do those kind of things and I couldn't pursue those kind of things. And as many may not know from watching me or knowing me, The people that know me, family, everything, they know my situation. I was born with hemophilia, and hemophilia is a bleeding disorder where you don't have what other people have, and it's called factor 8. So I get factor 8 in my system, and I have to have that, otherwise I get internal bleeds. So my target joints have always been my ankles. I always have a lot of injuries in my ankles to where it's not like bruising or bleeding outside, but it does kind of do with that. When I get like a cut or something, people are worried that I may die from a cut, just a little cut. But that's because of how my blood clots. I don't My blood doesn't clot like everybody else's, if that makes sense, Ben. Um, so I was born with hemophilia, but on top of that, I was born with a eye stigma that is called aniridia, and I am the only person in the world that has both. People have them separately, but no one has them together. I am the only person in the world that has both. So it's a weird story, and it's not a unique story that you really want to be a part of by any means. I remember as a young boy being in my room and being coming back from a doctor's appointment. Oh, you Justin, you can't do this, you can't do that. You're gonna be limited in what you can do in life. Sitting in my room, hitting my knee, pounding the floor, being upset with myself, being angry. And I think still some part of that still has a little bit in me that, I'm a little angry that I can't go and do some of the things that, people that don't have those type of conditions can do. But I found my love in hockey. So, I would say maybe early 2000s. I always make the joke that I was a Blues fan before I was even born. So, my parents were Blues fans. My dad's a lot bigger into it than my mom. My mom's kind of swung a lot more into being a Blues fan. But that's my type of release is hockey, and I feel that when I was young and growing up, one of the best things in the world to me was going to hockey games with my dad. I still go to hockey games with my dad. So that's something that I'm gonna miss. You kind of understand this from a perspective of losing a loved one. That you do all these type of things and you create all these memories, and then when they're gone, they're gone. So I kind of feel you in that aspect. I know you didn't touch on it very much. I know you touched on it on the first episode that we did,
Mm-hmm.
but I'm sure that you have a lot of love and a lot of great memories with your father when he was with us, right?
Yeah, absolutely. And this is the first season, the first NFL season without my dad. And there's a game on tonight. There's a preseason game on tonight, and there's a part of me that wants to watch it, and there's a part of me that won't watch it, and I have to come to grips with that. But I will tell you that everything, every memory, every challenge, every loss, every time that we had a losing season, and my dad looked at me and was like, "Hey, we've got another game." I want everybody out there, whenever they have those moments, to really hold on to them because you never know when it is your last game. And I'm sad and I'm excited because I know that whenever I sit down and I do watch it, he'll still be watching it, just in a different seat. So I appreciate that about you and your dad, Justin. I love the idea that you guys have those memories, that you have that camaraderie, that you have that space. No matter how me and my dad were doing, we could always watch football together, and I imagine that's how you guys are with your hockey, and I'm here for it. And I can't wait to meet you guys, at the game and, shake his hand one day.
Yeah, like I said, my dad was a big part of the reason I got into hockey. My dad is a little bit more impatient for the St. Louis Blues now. Like he doesn't hold his emotions back very well. But me, as someone in kind of the media space, I try to step back and I try to look at it from a expert's opinion and say, okay, why are they doing this? Why are they doing that? Yes, I have my fandom to where I'm like, man, why are the Blues doing this? Why are they doing that? I love this. I hate that. But it doesn't mean that I'm not a fan. It doesn't make anyone less of a fan that you criticize something. And I feel like that gets lost a lot in the space, especially for St. Louis Blues fans, is they think if you criticize something, that you hate them or that you're just not as much of a Blues fan as they are because they just accept everything. And I don't think that narrative is right when it comes to Blues fans.
Well, if you love something, you gotta, iron sharpens iron.
Hmm. Absolutely. The so we talked about a little bit of the crowds and the presentation and how everything goes for like hype fans up. I talked about how I had a little bit of playoff experience under my belt going to Blues games that when they were in the playoffs. And man, oh man, I've been there for one bad, unfortunate game, and I've been there for one amazing game that the Blues absolutely dominated. And the game that was disappointing was the game against the Colorado Avalanche, Game 3 in 2022, when Colorado's Nazem Kadri, I don't like you, Kadri, ran Jordan Bennington. And no, Avs fans, I will not sit here and say that Callie Rosen was the reason Jordan Bennington got hurt. No, Nazem Kadri ran him. I don't care what any Avalanche fan out there has to tell me. He ran him. He didn't mean to hurt him, but he most definitely meant to run him. So, he didn't mean to hurt him, but he definitely meant to run him. But for me, this is a game where, man, oh man, the Blues were absolutely humming. You felt the momentum switch. And it's cool when you're in the arena. I can tell when the momentum is switching when I watch it on television. But when you're in the arena feeling the ambience and feeling the energy in the arena, you can physically feel the momentum switch. That's how connected you can be with a sport that you love is you can feel that momentum swing. So I can feel when the Blues are kind of losing momentum and the team is gaining it, and I can feel when the Blues are gaining it. The Blues were gaining it in that game against Colorado, and they were going to win that game. I had full-hearted belief they were going to win Game 3 against Colorado. And then Bennington went hurt, and then the arena's air got sucked out, absolutely sucked out. The Blues go on to lose that game because they had to put in our backup at the time, Huso. And not to, harp on Huso or anything, but Bennington was on one. It was some of the best hockey he's played since the 2019 season when we won the Cup. So this was a disappointing time. I was there for an awful moment in sports history for the Blues. But on the flip side of that, I went to the game 4 against no, I think no, it was game 3 against the Winnipeg Jets, and we absolutely blew them out of the water. That's where we got the iconic Connor chants, and I'm so glad that I was a part of that because the Connor chants are awesome. Anytime we play the Winnipeg Jets, it's the Connor chants. And the funny thing is the Blues fans didn't start that. Winnipeg fans started that. So
Really?
yes, they started chanting Jordan Bennington's name. They kept saying Jordan, Jordan, and they started that. So when the Blues constantly just gave it to Connor Hellebuck, it made it more satisfying that the Winnipeg Jets couldn't blow out the St. Louis Blues, but the Blues were blowing out the Winnipeg Jets, but the Jets were trying to start Jordan Bennington chants, which is just ironic and funny to me. But I
Love
don't
it.
know if you remember that series. I don't know if you were watching it during
I
that time,
wasn't
but
I wasn't watching, and I tell you, you know what I'm so angry that I missed. I'm so angry that I missed the cup, but secondary, I'm so angry that I missed the last four countries.
the Four Nations
The
thing.
Four Nations. Yeah, I'm
Yeah.
so angry that I missed the Four Nations. I go back and I watch some of those games now, and oh my goodness, if you weren't a fan before those games, wow.
Four Nations was awesome. That was a great thing. I'm glad that they're changing it up and not really going with the. I think they're doing it a little differently this year with the international stuff again, but they're not doing like Four Nations. It's like I think they are going back to like a little bit of a skills competition thing, but I think it's a little different now. I think there's stakes behind it. I can't remember exactly what it is, but the skills competition and all that, like even the players didn't care for it anymore. Like it was really dying off. Like the shootout competition, it became campy, kind of corny garbage now. So I'm glad that they're trying to make the All Star break a little bit more meaningful now.
Love it.
Than what it used to be.
Love it. Love it.
Um, so we got a little bit of our stories for the Blues fans here, but I want to get into some Blues news because there is a little bit. The Blues have been very quiet. I want to first say that the Blues will be doing Blues and Brews September 18th. So if you guys do the Blues and Brews, please attend. They do that on September 18th. I just want to throw that out there right now. But the Blues do have some news, and I want to get into it. Dalibor Dvorsky, and I know, Ben, we were talking about this before we came on live, and we talked about, and you were asking me, why did Dvorsky change his number? But that's what we're talking about here. The Dalibor Dvorsky has changed his number from 54 to 15. And Ben, I want to get your thoughts on what are you thinking about this change here?
So I find it to be a little weird in the middle of this, to just go from 54 to 15. Doing a little research, I think it's a throwback for him. I want to make sure that this is going to be a inspiration for him and not a distraction for him.
Yeah, I think for me, I believe it was his junior number. So I believe he went to his junior number, which is 15. I don't know all the lore behind Dvorsky's background, but I believe that that's the reason he did it. Most of the times, you don't see jersey numbers change just randomly out of the time, out of the blue like this. You do see jersey number changes, but it was kind of a weird timing. Like it just kind of randomly happened on just some random day, and I was kind of like, why? I thought 54 was unique, but I understand why he wants 15. But as we all know, the one number that is synonymous, for me at least, for 15 is Robbie Fabry in recent memory, and we all know the lore behind Robbie Fabry. At least I do. I don't know about Ben, but Robbie Fabry has always been injury prone, and I'm not saying Dvorsky's going to be injury prone, but hopefully that there's not a number 15 curse for the St. Louis Blues. Um,
Please, no curse, please.
um, but yeah, he's dealt with some leg injuries. He kind of never was the player that he could have been, through those injuries. But I think I think the number looks good. I think 15 on Dvorsky looks very, very good. But I thought 54 was unique. You don't see it very often. But I don't have a problem. I'm not going to lose sleep over the number change. What about
I
you, Ben?
think I think Steen and Army just want to make some more money and make everyone buy another Dvorsky jersey. I think that's what it is. That's my conspiracy theory of the day. That this is just a slow news day, and someone was like, "Hey, we could pop another 5% in jersey sales."
Hey, you know what? You're not wrong. I know a lot of people are high on Dvorsky. They want to see him develop into something great. I just have a little bit of a weary thing with Dvorsky, on my opinion, that I just think that you went out and got McTavish, and for me, I think the fact that you went out and got a young guy in McTavish, I think that pretty much tells me you don't view Dvorsky as making a consistent second line center role.
So
That's
this
just
is
that's just my
interesting.
opinion.
This is interesting. What number did Dvorsky wear in the Olympics?
I actually do not know. I don't know. I'd have to go and do the research. He might
This
have wore 15.
this might be because his Olympic run was epic.
Yeah, I don't recall if he was wearing 15 or if he was wearing 54. I'd have to go and do the research. I'll be honest, I wasn't able to catch a lot of those games, just because of the time slots and doing certain things. But I think it's a good number. I think hopefully he makes this number 15 synonymous with Dvorsky, because I talked about this with my co-host on the Blue Note Fan Report, Guy, about when you think of numbers in the National Hockey League. So I know you haven't watched hockey for that long, but Ben, when I tell you, okay, number 87, who do you think of when I say 87 in hockey?
Travis Kelsey.
That is not who. Okay, well, 87 in football, 87 in football, but 87 in hockey. Do you know 87 in hockey?
I love it. Yes. But it's just like 18, right? But I just looked it up, and Dvorsky wore number 15 in the Olympics. So
Okay,
I'm
so that
telling you,
makes
there's
sense.
a connection. There's a connection there.
So yeah, I think it has to do with that. I think that's the lore behind why he wanted to get this number changed. And I don't hate it. Like I said, I'm not going to lose sleep over it. I'm sure Ben's not going to lose sleep over it. But I think it was an interesting news day. Like Ben said, I think they were probably just short on news and they just wanted to pump something out because Blues fans are getting restless. But I want to turn this segment around here, and I want to talk about something that the Blues fans have always been kind of talking about here, and it's the Blues captaincy situation. Ben, what is your thoughts going on for the captaincy? Do you think the Blues are going in a certain type of direction, or
So
what do you think's happening?
I want them to go in a direction, okay? I want them to go with the big dog, okay? Now, I was growing up, my dad used to tell me all the time there are two different kinds of people. There are Chihuahuas and there are Great Danes. The Chihuahua will nip at your heels, they're emotional, they're all over the place. The Great Dane, he'll bark once, and that's it. So when I look at the roster, I ask myself, who's the Great Dane for the Blues? The
And
Great Dane for the Blues is going to be Pareko.
Pareko,
He's
yes,
the Great Dane. He's a quiet, stoic leader, and he is going to be your next captain of the St. Louis Blues.
I like the pick. And is there a reason behind why you think that this is the case?
He proved that he wants to stay with the Blues. He refused to be traded during the season for the trade deadline. He used his contract to stay. He says that he wants to be a Blue his entire life. He wants to be there. I have inside sources with the Blues. Whenever they practice, he is the guy on the ice making sure that everybody's paying attention and pulling their weight. And that is a captain.
I think Pareko is an excellent choice for a captain. His fandom, his love for the city, it speaks captain. There's another guy that many people also talked about, and that is Jake Neighbors. Jake Neighbors has become a synonymous fan favorite here in St. Louis. Pareko, though, is someone who's shown his loyalty here. We saw it with the Buffalo thing. He didn't want to wave to Buffalo, and I don't know if it was because he just loves the city of St. Louis so much, or he just didn't want to go to Buffalo. But I think for me, I think he just loves the city of St. Louis. I think that his love and fandom that he's built here throughout his whole career. I see Pareko, and I've mentioned this to you, I see Pareko as a career Blue. I think he ends in a Blues jersey. Um, I know a lot of people have a lot of disdain for that because they want Pareko to be some type of physical threat. But the people out there that say that Pareko, he's not physical, he's not this, he doesn't hit, he doesn't move people out of the way, of the front of the net. What do you expect from Colin Pareko? Colin Pareko has been the same player his whole career. His whole career has been uh, he's made his career on being a lengthy defenseman. He has a big reach. He's a very steady defenseman. He's a defenseman that also knows how to skate. For a man that size that can skate as quick as he can is very, very impressive. For a guy his size, Ben.
But it's also the brains, right? If you watch him play, you see him barking orders and being a commander on the ice whenever he comes down the ice. You see that whenever he has it. And he is directing traffic and he is making sure people are where they are supposed to be and he is feeding that to the right people.
Yeah, I think for me, I think Pareko would be an excellent choice. I'm gonna go, and I'm gonna go with the obvious choice. And I say the obvious choice, and I don't mean it in a bad way. I just think that there's somebody that I think is going to get the captaincy, and I think it's going to be a counterpart in Robert Thomas. I think Robert Thomas is a guy that he's solidified himself, I should say, as a player in this league that I think is one of the best playmakers in the National Hockey League. And I know people may laugh at that and may say, "Oh, well, you're a Blues fan, so you're a homer." Yes, while I although understand that, Robert Thomas, if you watch Robert Thomas when he is healthy and he's on his game, man, he is one of the best playmakers in the league. And don't at me. No one in the comments should at me or question me on that. I love Robert Thomas with a passion. As you see, Robert Thomas jersey hanging up in the back there. I love the yellows. I don't know what your thoughts are on the yellow alternate jerseys there that they had the 1 year, but outstanding jersey. Robert Thomas is a guy that they have surrounded this offseason around. And it's, the reason I say that is because if you look at the pressers that Steen, Armstrong, and even Robert Thomas himself came on air and had an interview talking about how the Blues are trying to make strides to be competitive. For all the people that sit there and say that the Blues are not trying to be competitive, you're lying to yourself, because what you have heard from Armstrong especially is you are wasting Robert Thomas's best years on maybes and prayers. They don't want to do that anymore. They're trying to compete, which is why they went out and got some bigger fish in the market. Anna McTavish, Anna McMichael. This is why they made the strides to get better on paper, because they want this team to move forward. They don't want to sit stagnant. So for all the people that are saying, oh, the Blues are not going to be competitive, they don't plan to be competitive in 1 to 2 years. Yes, they do. They want to make the playoffs, and they've been in the league since 1967. Ben. So, what is your thoughts about the Blues and their synonymous record? About being in the playoffs for so many years. Go
So
ahead.
I love it, right? The Chiefs behind me, they had some of the same. They've been in the playoffs every year for 10. So I will say, I don't want them to be in the playoffs this year. I want them to win the Stanley Cup this year. I don't want them to say, hey, we made it to the playoffs. I want to hear Gloria sing. I want to hear Jobu. I want to hear it all. I want to see the Blues in the final game for the Stanley Cup. And I want to see Robert Thomas feed Dvorsky or feed Snuggerud for the winning snipe. And I want to see Hofer do a shutout in Game 7. That's what I'm talking about.
I think it's wishful thinking. The Blues, for me, they're not cup contenders yet, but I think that they can easily be a playoff team. This year's going to be telling. The beginning of the season's going to be telling for the St. Louis Blues because of the strenuous schedule that they have in the beginning. And just off the bat, they play two tough teams in the Colorado Avalanche and the Dallas Stars back to back. Not physically back to back, but back to back against one another in their home barns. So it's going to be tough. We're
Who
going to
do I
see.
send my hate mail to about putting Dallas Stars and the Avalanche in the first couple of weeks for the Blues season? Who do I send that letter to?
Well, and I'll be honest. I'll be honest. I know a lot of people may look at it like you look at it and say, yeah, who do I send my hate mail out to? Who do I, complain to that the Blues are starting off against those two teams? But I kind of love it in a sense because we get to see what this Blues team is automatically. This team has started off slow in the beginning portions for multiple seasons now. I want to see if this team is ready to make a step and be competitive in the beginning of the season. This team needs a good start, and if they can get a good start against good teams, I feel better about the length or down the stretch for the St. Louis Blues. So, although it's tough, it's a tough start. If the Blues come out and they go, let's say 3-0 in the beginning of the season, this Blues team means business this year. If they come out and go 4-0, this team means business. They start 3 games on the road, and then they play the Sharks in their home opener. The last couple years, the home openers haven't looked pretty. The Blues need to have a good home opener this year, and they're going to be playing a team that's also hungry in the San Jose Sharks, who I think are also going to be competitive this year.
I
So
really think that the San Jose Sharks are going to have a health problem and they're going to fall apart.
that's definitely a thing for me. I think it's going to be an experience thing. The Sharks had experience. They got a lot of experience last year being competitive. I think they're going to grow. I don't think that they're going to be conference final, good. But I think that they're going to be good enough to where they can see themselves in a playoff spot. I think they're going to be one of the tougher teams in the Pacific. And as we all know, it's not that hard to get competitive in the Pacific because let's be honest, the Pacific is one of the weakest divisions in hockey. I think we can both agree on that, Ben.
Yeah, I agree. I agree. All right, guys. So we're winding down. I'm super excited. Blues and Brews. Make sure if you're in the area, you go to Blues and Brews. I'm going to stake my claim on Pareko for the captain of the Blues for this next season. If you feel like I'm an idiot, hit me up in the comments. Make sure that you tell us who you think is going to be the captain of the Blues. And I certainly would not cry if Robert Thomas was the captain, and my wife would be super excited if Neighbors got the C. So you let us know who it is in the comments.
Yeah. Do you think they give it to the obvious choice in Thomas? Do you think they give it to the faithful vet in Pareko, or do they give it to a fan favorite in Jake Nambers? There's not really a wrong answer. All I do know is I think the Blues should have the person earn it, and I don't think that it should be handed out lightly. I think that they should have the team come in and earn that captaincy because I think whoever it's going to be, I think there are three tremendous options for the St. Louis Blues. But let us know what you think in the comments below. I want to shout out to the rest of the Hockey World Order shows. Again, we're on Mondays with Icing the Blues, myself and Ben. On Tuesday, we have Fans of the Orange and Blue with Dave and Steven, the Fernandez brothers. On Wednesday, we have our weekly Hockey World Order show. If you have not, we have released episode 7. It is the Atlantic Division deep dive for the NHL heading into this season. Then we have Thursday, Catfish and Crossbars. We have Friday with Doug and Adam for Ice Bag Hockey Cards for Tundra Talk there. So we are working on two other shows. Ranger World Order will be debuting in September on Sundays. This is an outstanding lineup of shows that we got coming for the Hockey World Order. Ben, please tell the fans where they can catch you. Give them your socials. Tell them where they can find you.
So if you're on any of the YouTube, if you're on TikTok, I am Chiefs Blues. Look for everything that I have out there. Make sure that you interact. Make sure you go to Hockey World Order. These guys are so brilliant. I'm so excited to be a part of a group of such intelligent people that have good conversations about hockey. If you're looking for conversations from real fans about real hockey, then the Hockey World Order is going to be the place that you are going to find that itch.
Absolutely, absolutely. And my Twitter handle is up on the screen. Justin Scott X89, as you see, Pavel Busnevich fan all the way through. Don't hate on Pavel. Ben, let me get a Let's Go Blues, and we will call it a day.
Let's go Blues!
And as always, we bleed blue with you. And as always, let's go Blues.